Israel is claiming that this attack in Beirut, it was against actually a missile factory or a place that is housing missiles inside of the southern suburb of Beirut. Again, ridiculous statements coming from Israel. And it's like you can see through their lies. A building, civilian building, there is no strategic sense in having any sort of heavy missiles in these areas. I mean, the Lebanese were joking about it last year when Daniel Hagari, the previous spokesperson of the IDF, was releasing these 3D videos of how Hezbollah and the Lebanese people have long-range missiles in their living rooms. And at the time, people started to joke about it. They started to say, like, my wife doesn't allow me to move the sofa in my living room, let alone have a long-range missile in my living room. Okay. This is still an escalation. Why? Because, well, Israel has been breaching the ceasefire. Over 1,300 times they breached the ceasefire in Lebanon. The state of Lebanon is clearly incapable of deterring Israel. The mediators, France, the United States, anyone else that might be involved without being public, they clearly don't have any say when it comes to the Israeli attacks inside of Lebanon. And the resistance is starting to look like it's not very capable. Neither is the Lebanese state. This is what's happening now. Hezbollah, from their side, they know that this is how Lebanon is starting to look like following Israeli attacks and the Lebanese not responding. There was a statement from a man called Ibrahim al-Musawi, who is a political figure in Hezbollah. He had an interview with a network called Al-Arabi. He said that, well, a few things. Number one, Lebanon must be armed. As in, we're giving time to the state. Our position is very clear. The Secretary General is giving time to the state to, well, show that it's actually a sovereign state, that it's able to achieve tangible results without direct military confrontation coming from the Lebanese resistance. We're still giving them time. But we, as a Lebanese state, well, we must be armed to be able to deter such actions. And he might be referring to air defense systems that the Lebanese state could potentially have at one point to deter all of these Israeli aggressions inside of Lebanon. But he also stated how Lebanon is looking like and how that's actually what Israel intends Lebanon and the resistance to look like. He said that Israel wants to show Lebanon as an incapable country. They are conducting a psychological warfare to defeat the spirit of the people, the Lebanese people, and the supporters of the resistance. But that Hezbollah's position is still as it is. We are giving the state an opportunity to deter the Israeli actions, stop the Israeli actions, and let Israel withdraw from the south of Lebanon. Israel is still occupying 5 positions. So there is a clear understanding from Hezbollah that Israel is doing that for these reasons. However, they are still deciding not to take action. Now, there is one argument here. Is Israel deliberately trying to drag them into attacking Israel so that they can intensify the attacks, make this expand? Is this a bait both for Hezbollah and for Iran too, so that Israel can expand the war and apply more pressure and make this something far bigger than it is, therefore saving the face of Benjamin Netanyahu and potentially deviating all of the attention? This is what he has done when he actually escalated with Lebanon, when he declared war, when he declared an outright war, and they started these massive assassinations inside of Lebanon. At the time, if you recall, the tensions in Israel were at peak level. Everyone was in the streets, similar to the same sentiment that we have today, even though today more very senior public figures are actually participating and leading the protests that are happening in Israel, similar to the Shin Bet chief and the ex-IDF chief of staff, who are calling Benjamin Netanyahu an immediate and tangible threat to the state of Israel and calling for public disobedience, all-out disobedience. This is putting Netanyahu in a corner. He's still having his feuds with Ronen Bar, and as a matter of fact, with the majority of the Israeli public who want an all-out deal. Whether they have a different view on the genocide or not, separate story. Most of them, however, oppose Benjamin Netanyahu and want to end the war. They want there to be a deal. Now, is Iran understanding this, and is Hezbollah understanding this, that Benjamin Netanyahu wants to drag them and they don't necessarily want to be dragged because it's defeating the purpose that Hezbollah started to participate in initially? Because Hezbollah, they were the first to participate by resistance actions against Israel after Hamas-led Operation Al-Aqsa Flood on the 7th of October. Immediately on the 8th of October, Hezbollah started to attack, but they started their attacks by declaring that they are a supporting front, not as a participant in the war. And there's a very big difference between being a supporting front and being a participant in the war. And that was very evident from their attacks on the ground. Hezbollah were very limited. They chose 5 kilometers between the Lebanese borders deep into 1948 occupied territories, and they were targeting points and bases that belonged to the Israeli army. They were still not talking about houses or people or directly targeting Israeli soldiers directly. Point equipment here and there, espionage cameras, radar, stuff like that. But of course, Israel started to escalate with them, depending on when they saw fit, really, at the time. And then it reached a level of an all-out war when Netanyahu declared that. The reason why I'm mentioning this now is Hezbollah did not choose the timing. So all of a sudden they saw that there is an operation called Al-Aqsa Flood led by the Palestinian resistance, who called people to participate, resistance movements and countries, and some of them did. Hezbollah was the first to participate, but they did not want to participate and open an all-out war. At that time, they were trying to keep a balance between supporting and alleviating the pressure. As a matter of fact, in the beginning of that battle from Lebanon, the Israeli army was dedicating much resources to the north. Over 30% of the army, the fighter jets, equipment, all of that. And this meant that they couldn't use all of this equipment and all of these resources against the people of Gaza. And this is what Hezbollah intended. Because if they wanted to participate in an all-out war at that time, they needed to be consulted. But Hamas did not consult them. And the Secretary General declared that. As a matter of fact, this was probably a very big reason why the campaign was shocking to Israel, despite the fact that they had certain indications and warning several hours before, and despite the fact that Hamas said before that if we don't get an answer to our problems, expect an explosion. The previous leader of the Hamas in Gaza said, Yahya Sinwar said that if the Palestinian problems are not solved, we will make the whole world stand on one leg. He said that way before Al-Aqsa Flood. He said that in 2021. Showing that, well, Hamas as a movement wasn't just satisfied with controlling Gaza like Israel thought. Let's pass some money for them. Maybe we can bribe them like we did with the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank with billions. They told them we're not really interested in that. And they've proven that throughout time that they, even if there is a ceasefire and Israel is having massive breaches, for example, in Jerusalem or against prisoners or in the West Bank, you would still have action coming from the Gaza Strip. But of course, with Hezbollah, they did not participate in this manner. And now, if they want to conduct anything against Israel, it would be something that Israel is already expecting. There is no surprise element. This could be a reason why, or one of the reasons why Hezbollah are still not deciding to have an all-out attack against Israel. And that sentiment could be shared with Iran too. Iran could be seeing this as not the most suitable moment. They want to choose the time that fits them to attack Israel. Previously, no one thought that Iran would respond directly to an attack conducted against them in Syria, and they did several months after. Then, not many thought that Iran would have another response to the assassination in Tehran of the Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, but they did several months later. Now, it has been 7 months since Israel attacked Iran, 6 months since Israel attacked Iran, but there is still no response. Of course, if this attack from Israel, or this explosion is confirmed to be from Israel, and Iran decides to attack, things might change in Lebanon. But so far, they are not deciding to take action and escalate, and they are still giving the state time to reach a deal.